The dystopian cyberpunk future we all expected is finally upon us. Mega corporate control, bought and paid for law enforcement, and an economy taking so hard that it costs $60 for a cup of cheap fake ramen. Wait, are you sure this isn't just now? So what do you do to stay sane in a world like this? Especially in the epicenter for this crooked way of life. You get smashed, of course.
Woo! What?
This is the premise of Valhalla, a simulator/visual novel about retro PC gaming aesthetics, cyberpunk bartender action, and being the only game I could think of that I'd happily let get away with false advertising. On paper, it's honestly a very interesting concept, regardless if you're vaguely familiar with the concept of cyberpunk or have been an avid fan of the genre to begin with, mainly because I find its perspective unique. You're not taking the role of a cop trying to rebuild their practice in a world they don't fully understand, a kid rebelling against a corrupt government with a goal to expose what they're doing behind everyone's backs, or kicking it with Keanu Reeves as you try to forget about what unethical working conditions look like. No, this story isn't about these types of people. You're a simple bartender. Meet Jill, a girl down on her luck between a recent bad breakup, stuck with a college degree she can't really use, and currently being bothered by a ghost girl named Anna that makes her look more unstable than she probably already is. Oh, and did I mention that the bar she works at is on the brink of shutting down? This may be a bit to take in, but I honestly feel like experiencing this kind of world through someone like Jill is what makes Valhalla stand out from the crowd. A very human perspective from someone smack in the middle of everything just trying to live their life. It's also why I like games like Reciteer, as you're in an RPG fantasy world, but not in the usual role of the hero who has to save the land, but an item shop owner just trying to get through the month while dealing with a constantly shifting market. Valhalla, for the most part, is a visual novel, and is intended to be a game taken at a comfy pace. It even recommends sitting back with a drink and some snacks if you want. The game's general vibe backs this up as well, with a cool city at night color palette, an amazing soundtrack from Gorillaz that complements it perfectly, that you can even mix and match an in-game jukebox to have your favorite tracks in a playlist that goes on in the background as you take on the day. While the visual novel aspect does play a big role in pushing Valhalla's story forward, so does its main gameplay gimmick, which is, as you'd probably expect, bartending. Jill's not alone in Valhalla, with the faces you'll see around the most being Gillian, her mysterious and somewhat weak co-worker, and her boss Dana Zane, the greatest character in all of fiction, and a huge variety of customers that stop by the bar, ranging from pop stars, hackers, journalists, catgirls, soldiers, brains in jars, and even adorable robot prostitutes. How charming. But not only do you have to strike up a conversation with these people, learning more about them, the outside world's current happenings from a variety of viewpoints, and possibly even seeing Jill open up more about herself and her past along the way, but you also gotta serve up drinks. This is fairly simple, and you quickly learn everything you need to learn about bartending that will apply across the entire game within the first few stages. Just hear what they want to order, open up the recipe book, and follow the instructions. If you mess it up, you can redo it as much as you want, but there is a catch. Some orders are more straightforward, some are more broad, usually wanting a drink with a specific type of flavor such as sweet or spicy, some orders are more vague, needing you to remember drinks' backstories or prices, and some are just Simpsons references. And you better pay attention, since you have a paycheck on the line. And the last thing you need is a pink slip, because while many are facing their own battles outside the bar, Jill is up against an enemy of her own, her landlord. Most of the money that you earn from working is intended to go towards Jill's rent payment for her apartment, as well as a variety of bills. However, depending on how you do, there will be a good amount of money left over. You can use this money to buy certain items that Jill wants, so she can remember orders better. Contrary to what many believe on their first playthrough, this is entirely optional. Yeah, the apartment will look much duller in comparison to how it looked if you went all in, and the game will call you out for clearly not paying attention, but you'll have enough money to guarantee that you won't be tossed out into the street, and maybe even find ways to get some of the game's various endings. But that's spoiling much of the story, if not more than I maybe already have. Valhalla is really great. It's a game I definitely replay on occasion for the different endings, and does make for a pretty good Christmas game. I do have a few minor issues, mainly a loose end here and there that isn't fully tied up, though it may just be bad memory on my part, or things meant to be left up to the player to wonder about, though they're pretty inconsequential. Part of me does feel like the free prologue and Anna DLC, which do expand on the story a bit more, make up for it. As a game, I feel like it's personally a great introduction to the visual novel genre, and is definitely a better option to going for self-aware parodies that just drag down this genre further, especially on the merit that it's very accessible, with its relatable storytelling, relaxing vibe, along with the drink mixing and occasional minigame to keep your mind busy. I can definitely recommend Valhalla to someone who hasn't even played this kind of game before, and why shouldn't I? Along with being available on PC via a variety of platforms, you can get it on your Switch, PS4, or even your Vita if you really feel like dusting it off. And when you're done, there is the upcoming sequel, Nirvana, to look forward to. Thank you for watching. Now, if you excuse me, I have a folder of Dana Zane pictures that needs to be filled.